If I'd like to talk to you about, or people who are looking at possible eviction from their homes because of failure to pay rent. I'd like to talk to you about what alternatives are available. As most of you know, there's been a moratorium on evictions since March of 2020, largely as a result of COVID. So landlords were forbidden from evicting their tenants because of lack of payment, lack of rental payment. That moratorium was lifted in August of this year, about a month ago. Now is the time to investigate what alternatives are available to you. Clearly, if you haven't paid rent since March of 2020, the rent arrears are going to be staggering, tens of thousands of dollars, chances are. And especially if you have suffered an interruption to your income as the result of COVID, that number is even that much more staggering or impossible. The county, Montgomery County, and the counties throughout Maryland are doing what they can do to help people reorganize, regroup, and not get evicted. One of the first things that you should do before any of the trouble starts is access the rental relief program. It's a website. Google Rent Relief Program, Montgomery County, Maryland. That'll take you right to the website. On the website, there'll be a button that you push, and you can complete an application. It's not a difficult application. If qualification requires that you demonstrate that your income suffered a negative impact as a result of COVID, in other words, that you lost income, you got terminated, you're earning less, perhaps you were laid off, or perhaps you got sick. Either way, any of those events, so long as you can demonstrate that your income was reduced because of COVID, you may be eligible for the program. The program will provide up to $12,000 in rental assistance, and it may even provide 3 months of future rent. The program is aggressive. The county is working hard at keeping people in their homes. The program is paying out $2 million a week. So it's worth looking into this program as your first line of defense, trying to keep in your home, trying to get current on your rent. The second thing that you should do is look at the Housing Initiative Partnership. The Housing Initiative Partnership. And again, you would Google those words and include your county and the state. So the Housing Initiative Partnership, Montgomery County, Maryland. That will bring you to the website. And it's very interesting what's going on in that effort. There are different types of counseling, different types of programs that make people aware of the alternatives that are available. For example, they're arranging house shares where people are having trouble paying the mortgage and are willing to rent out a room or two. That's the organization of that effort can be found on that website. They also try to mediate between the tenants and the landlords to get an acceptable solution or resolution. If you had trouble with the rent relief program, they may act as an intermediary trying to get you qualified for benefits. So that would be the second thing that you would do. If your circumstances are more dire and you've been served with an eviction notice, make sure you show up in court. If you can't afford a lawyer, it's important to know that there will be legal aid representatives, lawyers working for legal aid, that are there in the landlord-tenant court for the specific purpose of helping people and stopping evictions. They'll work with you to try and reach an agreement with the landlord, try to get some kind of payment plan. If you were unable to qualify for the rental relief program, the legal aid attorney may be able to help you figure a way around that. So that's That's the third line of activity that you do. If you have been served with eviction papers, don't not go to court, and don't despair. Try looking at the alternatives that are available. Do what you can do to not get evicted and to resolve your issue with the landlord. If all of that fails, I think it's really important that you know unpaid rent is unsecured debt. If you're going to get evicted, you can discharge that debt in bankruptcy. If you file the bankruptcy before the eviction, it will delay the eviction. Not for long, but enough for you to regroup. So the rent arrears, everything that you owe, if you qualify for a Chapter 7, can be discharged in the Chapter 7. It's a sobering reality for landlords, and it's something that when you negotiate with the landlord, it might be worth knowing about. Paying for a consultation with a bankruptcy attorney might be a good idea, so you're fully armed when you negotiate with your landlord about the reasons why he should work with you, not evict you, and get some kind of payment plan. Maybe not to pay all of the rent arrears, maybe to just pay a portion of it. Information is power. If it fails, though, and you qualify for a Chapter 7, you will lose your home, you'll lose your apartment, you'll need to make alternative living arrangements, but you will be able to get out from under that debt. So if you have alternate living accommodation, it's a viable and practical solution to your problem. You have to qualify for a Chapter 7. Not everybody can file it. It's an income-based analysis. It's called the means test. And typically, for a family of 3, if the income is over $120,000, there may be some obstacles. For an individual, $80,000 or less, you can file for a Chapter 7. There are a lot of factors. I'd give you a hard number, but there isn't. It depends on a lot of variables are taken into consideration. They're put into a formula, which is called the means test. If you pass the means test, you can qualify, then you can file Chapter 7 and discharge all of your rent arrears. If you don't qualify for a Chapter 7, then chances are you'll qualify for a Chapter 13. And in that instance, what you do is you put all of your unsecured debt into a payment plan. That payment plan goes for a period of somewhere between 36 to 60 months, depending on your particular circumstances. And you pay all or a portion of the unsecured debt that you owe. So if you have rent arrears and then a lot of credit card debt and so forth, you would put all of that into a payment plan, and you would pay all or a portion of that. That portion can be as low as 5, 6%, 10%. It will depend, again, on the income that you earn and the allowable expenses according to the bankruptcy code that you have. So I think bankruptcy is the last alternative. You should look at with the county and with the state what assistance they're making available for dealing with the landlords and the rental arrears. But if all of that fails and you still have a lot of debt, bankruptcy is a good solution. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. I've been practicing bankruptcy law for about 30 years here in Montgomery County, and if you need help, I'd love to help you. Give us a call, 301-515-1190. I look forward to working with you. I wish you the very best.